If you don't know where to begin, better ask Win.
Winston, good to see you. Today we are talking through the 6 questions you should ask an advisor before you retire. You, of course, do not need an advisor to retire, but we do recommend at least making an appointment with one to talk through these questions. So the first question to ask, am I financially ready to retire?
Well, that's a big question, and sometimes it's well worth your time and effort to speak and visit with a qualified financial advisor because of one thing. We could save you a lot of time and a lot of mistakes. And you know what they say about time? Time is money. So it could save you a lot of time and money. But if you feel that you're financially ready for retirement, I'm going to go out on a limb and say you probably have a tax problem.
Yes, and that gets into one of our other questions. But first, the next question is, what income sources will I rely on in retirement and how sustainable are they?
Right. And what we always talk to our clients and students about is the need to build at least a 3-legged stool of guaranteed income. We call those paychecks. Paychecks are things that need to come in that are guaranteed to pay your fixed household expenses. So we need paychecks for fixed expenses. We need playchecks for the fun things in life.
Mm-hmm. And the next question is what you were touching on earlier, but it bears repeating because it's really important. How can I minimize taxes on my retirement income?
Well, it's very important that you start looking at your sources of retirement income and start to contribute, if you have the opportunity through your employer's 401k plan, to divert funds into the Roth 401k. But there is a little trick to that. You want to make sure that you have an individual Roth IRA established because of this thing called the 5-year rule, right? There's a 5-year clock that starts when you open up your own individual Roth IRA. And if you don't have one and you roll over your Roth 401k, it's ineffectual. The 5-year clock starts then. So we want to make sure that we use tax-free dollars because a tax-free dollar will go a lot longer in the future than a taxable dollar.
Right. And, when you talk that through, Winston, it becomes apparent all these questions are very much interrelated. The next one, what adjustments should I make to my investment portfolio?
Well, just like I said, if you're sticking the money into, if your primary investment portfolio is that traditional 401k, consider opening up an individual Roth and start to contribute into the Roth 401k at work. Because again, we're looking out over the horizon. There's probably not much course for taxes in the future to do anything but go up. You want to get as much tax-free dollars in your portfolio as is possible.
Mm-hmm.
Consider Roth conversions as well.
Right. That's a great strategy. Do I have enough saved to account for inflation and other unexpected expenses? They always seem to crop up.
It really is. It's a big thing. A lot of people will retire. Just ask anybody that that retired, say 3-4 years ago, and they retired with what they figured was the proper income model. Well, inflation has devastated people's retirement plans, and it devastated it early because they did not have increasing income built into their retirement portfolio. Strategies like laddering, strategies like structured notes, things that will build in growth for the future and have minimum risk. These are things that you should talk to a financial advisor about. And yes, while you don't need a financial advisor, we could certainly be very helpful.
And the last question, do I have a plan for long-term care? As you know, 7 out of 10 people will need long-term care at some point. And if you don't have a plan for it, it can wipe out your savings. Take a look at this projected out, to 2043. You can see on the right column, going to cost you anywhere from $124,000 a year up to $211,000.
It's a real problem, Erin. And I tell people that come in to visit with us, like on an initial interview, I say, tell me about your plan for long-term care. And they're like, well, what do you mean? I said, well, everybody's got a plan. I'm just curious what your plan is. And they think maybe I'm talking about some government assistance. And that's not the case at all. Unfortunately, if you don't have a formal plan for long-term care, in most people's case, their plan for long-term care is to raid their 401k or IRA. That's not a good plan at all, because you see, when you start taking money out of these accounts later in life, that can affect your IRMA calculation, cause your Medicare premiums to skyrocket, cause taxes on your Social Security to skyrocket. So while it's not one of the guarantees in life to plan for long-term care, we certainly recommend looking at it and planning for it. It's only prudent. And, the thing is this, Genworth says that 7 out of 10 Americans are going to need some form of long-term care before they die. So it's a really important thing to consider. And again,
Absolutely.
talk to a competent financial advisor about that.
Yeah. And it goes to say, though, that if your advisor is not talking through these issues with you, you may need a new advisor. Winston, if somebody wants to, again, ask you these questions to see if they are ready to retire, what's the best way to reach you?
Well, you could get us on the telephone at area code 602-456-1928. That's 602-456-1928. Or go onto our website, winstonandcompanies.com, where you'll find a handy-dandy Calendly link. And you can set up an appointment to come on by and have a cold drink or a cup of coffee and get to know us.
Well worth it. Winston, thank you.
Hey, thanks, Erin. Always.
Got a plan for your retirement? 'Cause it's just down the road. But if you don't know where to begin, better ask when.